Okay, we've all been there. You know, you shouldn't spend the money, you absolutely don't need the upgrade, and you've got all the saving rules memorized. Yet, swipe. You buy it anyway. It is literally so frustrating. But hey, welcome to this explainer. We're going to unpack exactly why this happens. Because, spoiler alert, you are not broken, and the reason is probably not what you think.
So let's dive right into this. Why on earth do we keep overspending when we literally know better? Well, the answer to this is going to completely reframe how you look at your wallet. Because here's the thing, this isn't a money problem, like at all. It is fundamentally a behavior problem. We're constantly out here trying to solve a psychological puzzle using math, and honestly, that's exactly why we keep failing.
Now, real quick, just before we get into the actual biological mechanics of all this, I do need to mention that this explainer is for educational purposes only and should definitely not be taken as financial advice. All right, let's get back to the psychology of it all. I want you to just think about your own life for a second. You don't just accidentally drop 5 grand out of nowhere, right? That's not how the damage happens. The real financial bleeding, it happens in these tiny, almost invisible little increments. It's the small choices that totally slip under your radar. You know, it's 20 bucks over here and 50 bucks right there. Maybe it's a forgotten subscription or just a random weekend outing you didn't really plan for. It's the classic death by 1,000 cuts. And man, before you know it, it's all added up to this massive leak in your finances. But here's the truly wild part about human psychology. In the exact moment you're making those small choices, it doesn't feel like a mistake at all, does it? No way. It feels totally justified. You're telling yourself, oh man, I've had such a long week. I deserve this. Or literally everyone else is doing it. Or my personal favorite, hey, it's on sale. I'm practically making money. I'll just save more next month. See, overspending rarely happens through these massive life-altering decisions. It happens through small, repeated, highly comforting justifications. So what's actually happening inside our brains when we hit add to cart or tap our phones to pay? Well, it all comes down to what we call the dopamine trap. See, your brain is literally hardwired by evolution to seek out short-term rewards. You buy something and boom, you get an instant hit. It's this tiny, potent spike of dopamine and it physically feels good in your body. And this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict. Spending gives you instant dopamine, but saving? Yeah, it offers absolutely zero immediate feeling. There is no instant rush from putting money into an index fund, right? The benefit is so far away, months, years, maybe even decades into the future. So naturally, your brain is just going to choose the path of least resistance. It goes for what feels good right now, rather than what's actually better for you way down the road. But we've got to add another psychological layer to this puzzle, because you aren't making these choices in a vacuum. We're constantly being influenced by everyone around us. Enter the social baseline shift. Think about it. Every single time you open social media or even just chat with your coworkers, you're bombarded with images of people traveling, buying new cars, and just upgrading their lives. And without you even realizing it, your baseline just shifts. Stuff that once felt like a crazy luxury, it suddenly starts to feel completely normal. And that right there is exactly where overspending becomes super dangerous. Because at this point, it doesn't even feel like overspending anymore. To your brain, you're just maintaining a normal, everyday lifestyle. But the harsh reality is this: your income has a strict, hard limit. But your desires, they don't. Desires expand infinitely. Every single upgrade creates a brand new normal, and man, once you cross that threshold, it is so incredibly difficult to go back.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely flips the problem on its head. We're always beating ourselves up thinking overspending means we just lack discipline, but we don't. It's actually about a lack of awareness. Because if you were to just pause for a moment, literally just one brief second, and actually question the decision, a lot of these random purchases would instantly lose their power over you. But we rarely do that, do we? We act fast, we justify it, and we move on. We really need to start looking at the true cost of things.
I want you to try something next time you're about to buy something. Imagine that instead of asking yourself, can I afford this? You ask yourself, is this worth delaying my financial independence? Just kind of let that sink in for a second. That is a radically different question, isn't it? And it carries so much more weight. When you frame it like that, you realize that every single dollar you spend isn't just money gone from your bank account. It's time. It is literal time that you have to spend working just to earn that dollar back. Every unnecessary purchase is basically you actively pushing your own future freedom further and further away. You're trading your future time for a super brief dopamine hit today. But hey, here is the incredibly good news. And this is exactly where we get to take our power back. You absolutely do not need some exhausting, extreme, monk like discipline to fix this. Trying to rely on pure willpower is just a losing game against millions of years of human evolution. Instead, you just need a better setup. You need systems over discipline. So, the crucial point is building a system out of really simple habits. It starts with awareness, just recognizing that dopamine trap and that baseline shift when they're happening. Then you've got to introduce friction to make spending harder, like literally delete your saved credit cards from your browser so you actually have to get up, walk across the room, and find your wallet. And finally, force some small pauses. Implement a strict 24-hour rule before buying anything non-essential. By just slowing down that decision-making process, you completely bypass the dopamine trap, and you get your absolute control back. I really want to leave you with this final, powerful realization. People don't overspend because they're careless or foolish. Not at all. They overspend because their environment, their habits, and their actual psychology are quite literally designed to make them do it. The entire game is rigged against your savings account. But now you know exactly how the game works. Those invisible strings pulling at your wallet, they've been cut. The guilt is gone, and it's replaced by actual strategy. So the only question left to ask yourself is this. Once you understand this, how are you going to start changing it? What friction are you going to introduce today to protect your time, your freedom, and your future? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.